All right, welcome back. It's been a minute since I made a video, but thought I'd do something a little bit different today. I received a package from Ryan Christie. He's on the Sambar squad. He has a Etsy. He created a third brake light kit that also allows you to still have your bed lights, and it's all LEDs. Thought that was a good idea. I like safety, so having more brake lights is always better, so nobody runs into you. They can actually see that you're braking. What you get is a PCB. It's got red and white lights on it, and then on the back you're just gonna connect your wires to the back. I'll get to that. But also in the kit you get a couple washers, or 4 washers. 2 of them are to ground the PCB to your body so that you don't have to run an extra ground wire. To the stock light there is a ground wire ran, and we're going to use that as the power wire for the brake lights. There's other ways you can wire this, but this is the easiest way, and I am pretty lazy, so I like to do it the easiest way, and it will work just fine, so I don't see an issue. Along with the kit, he includes a new cover for your brake light, or your third brake light. And this one's printed in PLA. It's a little different than how I print mine, so I printed my own, and we'll be installing this one today. This is printed in ASA, just like the rest of my parts. I just wanted it to match, so figured I would do that. And that's about it. Let's get started. All right, hopefully you can hear me over the traffic. First step, we're going to be removing the stock bed light, and you're just going to want to use JIS bits if you got them, because they're going to work a little better for the Japanese screws that we got. So there's just 2 Phillips or JIS screws. Take those 2 off, and then you can take the cover off, I think. Yep. There's the seal on the back side. We're going to save all that stuff for later. And here's your bed light and a couple clips that are holding them to the body. You're just going to pinch those in and push it through, and then we're going to get to the inside and take the rest of it apart. Just like that. And we'll go on the inside and take the rest of it apart. All right, we're back on the inside. Here's what the back side of the bed light looks like. I already had an LED in there previously, but all you have to do here is unplug this connector, kind of just pull it up and wiggle it just a little bit until it comes free, and you can set this aside. You can reuse this if you want. You will have to modify it and cut it as he outlined in his installation instructions, but I'm just going to be using the piece I printed, so I don't have to modify an old stock piece. The next step is you're going to be cutting these 2 wires. You want to cut them pretty close to the connector just so you have a lot of extra space. I don't have my snippers with me right now, so I'm going to go grab those and come back and cut them, and then we can strip them. All right, we're back with some snippers. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip these off. We got our wires exposed and cut. We want to strip them back just a little bit, just like that. Straighten that out. Maybe just a tiny bit more. That looks good. All right. Then I like to just twist these together, make sure they're all close to each other. This green one up here is the stock ground wire for the bed lights. What we're going to be doing is using the body as the ground. The 12-volt batteries on vehicles are all wired just so that they have body ground. If you look at your battery, you can see that there's a wire from the ground that just goes to the battery case. So anything that is metal on the body is going to be ground. But we have paint here, so that's not going to be able to conduct electricity. So that's why we have the special washers on there that should bite into the paint and get a nice ground to the body, so that we can use this extra ground wire as the brake light power wire. So this is going to provide 12 volts to the brake lights. On your unit yourself, on your unit itself, you can see on the front of it, it says brake, bed, and ground, and then on the back you have a black mark right here. That's where the ground is, and then the middle one is the bed light, and then the far other side is the brake light. So this one's going to be the brake light, that's going to be the bed light, and this one's going to be ground. So since we're going to be grounding to the body, we don't need to use this ground. I'm just going to tighten up this screw just to make sure it's not flopping around. So these things have little contacts inside and they'll rattle a little bit. So I'm going to just tighten this one down to where it's not touching, or where it's touching, and so it's just not going to rattle when I'm driving around. But then the other two wires we're going to hook up to these two slots. So let's see, the bed light is going to be your white and red light on my truck at least, and that's going to go to the middle slot, which is right in here. And you're just going to tighten it down. Don't go crazy tight, but tight enough so it's not going to pull out, and then you're good there. Your ground is going to go to your brake light, because that's what we're going to be wiring the 12 volt power to. So let's toss that one in there. Tighten that up. All right, so now you can see on the back, I put them in these two top slots, red and white, right, or white and red right here in the middle, and then a green on the opposite side of the black one. And that will be your power, and then it will just sit in there like that. You're gonna want to face your cover up with how the wires are going, so that's gonna fit up there like your old cover did. So basically, put the PCB in here. Hopefully it fits with my print. Yeah, it looks nice. And then you're gonna use this ring to hold it in place. Just like that. And then you have two choices of washers. I'm gonna be using the bigger washers that have little claws on the end of them. You can see the little claws there, those will bite into the paint. You're gonna wanna have them facing towards the paint so that they'll bite in. But those are gonna go right around here. Here's your lens for the back, and you have your screws for that lens. I'm gonna stick both of those things through here so that the screws are protruding through here, and that way I can put the washers on and hold them in place, and then I'll screw it all together. I think that should be the best way, and that way I can kind of get the screws started and then clip it in and screw it all together. It should be good to go. So I'm gonna go around the back and stick this in and see how that goes. All right, now we have the screws protruding through, so I can place my washers just right over the screw, up against the back. That one fell out. All right, now you got your screws with the claws facing towards there, and we can turn this guy around to get it in place. And then we can get those screws started. Alright, got one started punching around. Okay, got one on here. And small tray. Alright, got that one started too. I'm just gonna pull them in equally until it clips into place. Alright, you don't want to get those too tight. It is a 3D printed part, but you can get them pretty snug, just so that the lens will seal against the back of the cab and those screws will bite in. Hopefully that happened. But yeah, that looks nice. Sorry about the horrible headliner. That's on my list of things to get to, but I wanted to install this light first. That looks really nice. So next we are going to wire the, I guess we could test the bed light at this point, because it should have a ground, and that way we'd make sure it has a ground. And then we can wire up the brake light. So let's try that out. All right, just gonna do a quick test of the brake light. And turn the ignition on. E-brake is up. Look at that. We got bed lights. Looks good. That means we have the ground connected on the inside, since we had snipped the stock ground for the bed light. And now we need to hook that ground up to the brake lights. All right, we're underneath the dash now. This is your headlight back, and you're looking up from the pedals underneath. Your brake fluid reservoir is right up here, and you have some wires coming out of a foam piece on the A-pillar up top here. So this blue connector right here is the one you're looking for, and there's a blue and a green wire on it. You're gonna wanna snip that green wire. That's the ground for the bed light. And then we're gonna connect a new wire to that green wire so that we can wire it to the brake light signal. So we have enough wire to do that. It's gonna be a little bit difficult to show you from this angle, but I will try my best. I'm using some snippers that are a little too big. There we go. All right, green wire is cut. No going back. All right, there's our green wire sticking out. Now we're gonna have to crimp another wire to it. All right, I got some smaller tools. Let's try to get this. There we go. Okay, now that we got that wire stripped back, we're gonna need to add a new wire to it. We just have a box of wires. I'm gonna use a green wire since I have it. These are pretty thin. I use, these are 18 gauge wires that I'm splicing in. I think it's about an 18 gauge wire that's up there. So I'm using a 22 to 18 gauge butt connector that has heat shrink around it, so that I'll heat shrink after I make the connection. First part, I'm going to connect this wire that I have open into here. That way I can get it connected easily without having to reach up in the dash. So strip it back. Oops. I like to twist these up a little bit. And you get your butt connector, stick it on there all the way in so that the sheathing of the wire is all the way up against the butt connector. I got my crimps. Crimp down on them. I like to just give them a little extra crimp. The glue will help fill in any extra areas that get that if the if the heat shrink gets punctured at all, it'll get kind of covered up with glue when it comes out. So it's nice and tight. It's not coming out of there. Now I need to get it up into the other side. All right, once you got a nice tight crimp on there, I like to pull it and see if it falls out. Give it a nice tug. Feels nice and tight. All right, I pulled this wire loom out just a little bit so that I can make my connection up here. I'm gonna snip into this insulation right here, or this protective sleeve where the wires aren't. You can feel where they are. Right now they're over on this side, not on this side. So I'm gonna snip on this side so that I can get access to those wires and bring them out and make my connection in there. That way it's not close to the connector where you're gonna kick it with your feet. Otherwise, this green wire that's up here connected, I'm pretty much just gonna run it down this harness right here, zip tie it in place until I get down here, go behind this bracket, just like this harness is, and then connect it into here and butt connect it together. All right, let's see how this goes. Make sure the wires are pushed all the way to the side. And I'm gonna snip right here. And then I'm just gonna snip the rest of it out of the way. There we go. Okay, now I can try to pull this back just a little bit. Just trying to get some area in here so that I can put a butt connector on here. We already have our wire ran down, so we're just gonna snip this green wire and then connect two sides into one here, and then one side and the other side on the other. So just snip the green wire. I might just slit this so I can move it out of the way, and then I'll tape it back together. Since it's so stiff, give me a little extra room. So you're gonna wanna snip one side of that and snip one side of this, or the only side of this. Strip them back. It's a little unconventional to do it this way, since we're using two 18 gauge wires, or at least one 18 gauge wire and one maybe what looks like 22 gauge wire. I'm going to use a 14 to 16 heat shrink so that I can get both those wires in one side. I like to line them up so that the sheathing on the wires is the same, and then twist them together so that it's nice and tight. It's getting dark here, a little hard to see. All right, there's a nice connection. Pull on both the wires, make sure they're not coming out. And then we're gonna connect that to the other side. I'm gonna slit this one back as well so that I can get a little extra wire coming out. And I'm gonna tape it all back together. So you're gonna strip this back. You gotta be careful with these so you don't snip too much into the insulation, because then you're gonna cut into the wires. There we go. Okay, we got that stripped back. We got a little extra going on there. I like to twist this together and then just turn it around on itself so that it doubles up, makes a little bit more wire that we can connect into the crimp connection. Having troubles. We'll get there. All right, then you're gonna want to pull on that, make sure you have a good connection because that's your brake. And that should be connected. Now when we press the brake, I should have the third brake light working. So let's test that out. All right, we're back at the back of the truck. Should press the brake light and the brake should come on. Look at that. We have a third brake light. Looks good. Now we just heat shrink the heat shrink back in place. I already heated up the top one so that it is all shrunk down and sealed. All right, and that's all nice and shrunk up now. Wait for it to cool down for a little bit. Shouldn't take too long. Then we will pull, excuse the view, not the best again. We'll pull the sheathing back around, just try to make it neat. It can only be so neat, but then we're gonna wrap some electrical tape around that to hold it all together. And that should protect the wires as well. So. All right, looks a little better. Wires are protected. I can push it back where it was, and then I'll finish zip tying this extra wire back into place. And we are finished. Thanks for joining me. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like my content, and I'll keep bringing you more. Check down in the description for the link to Ryan Christie's third brake light kit, and also a link to my website where I create a whole bunch of different Sambar accessories. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye.